High in the Indian Himalayas, isolated by elevations that push past 6,000 meters, sits the Kinnaur district. It is a world where cedar forests grow so thick that afternoon sunlight struggles to touch the ground. The people here build their homes in the Kath-Kuni style, an earthquake-resistant method of interlocking wood and stone without cement. These walls often hold the trident of Shiva and Buddhist mantras on the same surface, symbols of a culture practicing both faiths simultaneously. But the oldest layer of Kinnauri life centers on the Saunis, invisible mountain fairies believed to descend from high-altitude meadows when the first snow falls. Every winter, the villages acknowledge these silent protectors, who are said to guide travelers and keep the livestock warm through the harshest months. This acceptance of contradiction, where history, myth, and multiple religions live together, provided the environment for a 5,000-year-old oral tradition to persist. In Kinnaur, the ancient and the modern do not compete, they coexist. The origin of the Raulane festival lives in the memory of an ancient farmer. Folklore tells of a winter so bitter that the village was on the edge of collapse. One morning, the farmer found light, non-human footprints in the snow near his pens. His animals were calm, and the freezing air felt suddenly warm. The farmer realized his village had accepted the protection of the Saunis for generations without ever offering a formal acknowledgement. They had survived within their watch, but they had never said thank you. That spring, as the snow began to melt, he performed the first Raulane ceremony. He brought wildflowers and poured milk into a clay vessel, a gesture meant to bid the fairies farewell before they returned to the high peaks. To make the invisible Saunis tangible, the village chooses two men to serve as physical vessels, the Raula, or groom, and the Raulane, or bride. For the duration of the ritual, the community treats these men as the embodiment of the divine protectors themselves. This origin centers Raulane on a foundation of pure, uncalculated gratitude. The festival is an annual act of acknowledgement, recognizing a long-standing relationship between the people and the mountain forces that sustain them. Preparing the Raulane involves an intense physical burden. The participant is draped in hand-woven wool and layered with kilograms of ancestral silver jewelry. These pieces carry the literal lineage of the village families, making the weight of history a physical reality. Every inch of skin is covered. Mythologically, this protects the human participants. It is believed the Saunis might try to take a recognized soul back with them to the high meadows, a place from which no human returns. Philosophically, the mask allows for the total erasure of the individual's ego. By hiding their sais, the participant surrenders their name and social status, becoming a blank vessel for the community's devotion. Inside the Nagin Narayan temple, the Raula and Raulane perform a slow, intuitive dance. There is no rehearsal or choreography. Each step is a measured, non-verbal conversation between the human world and the invisible ecosystem of the mountains. The ritual requires total humility. By removing the individual from the center of the ceremony, Raulane shifts the focus back to the natural forces that the village gathers to honor. This ritual has persisted for 5 millennia, continuing through 5,000 years of shifting borders and foreign invasions. When the Mauryan Empire expanded into the Himalayas, and when the Tibetan Gugge Kingdom built its monasteries in the 10th century, the administration of these valleys changed. Yet the annual arrival of the Saulanes remained the central event of the village winter. During the Mughal era, political alliances shifted power dynamics across the region. Emperors granted titles and negotiated borders, but the intimate traditions of the high mountain villages were left untouched. In the 19th century, British administrators arrived with roads and formal schools. They documented fairy festivals in their records, but their institutional view could not capture the spiritual depth of the ritual they were witnessing. One oral account recalls a year when a catastrophe reduced an entire village to just 7 families. With no elaborate costumes or silver, 2 survivors wrapped themselves in whatever rags they had and performed the dance in the empty lanes to maintain the chain. The immortality of Raulane stems from this collective willpower. It survives because ordinary people, across hundreds of generations, have refused to break their word to the mountain. Today, Kinnaur faces new pressures. The local population is shrinking, and the native dialects are losing ground to Hindi and English. As the language fades, the specific words used to describe the mountain protectors risk being forgotten. In 2025, images of Raulane went viral, bringing a sudden wave of outside attention. Travel bloggers and tourism operators began pushing the community to scale the festival for a global audience. The village elders collectively declined the offer. They rejected government funding for infrastructure and prohibited cameras from entering the innermost temple rituals. Their reasoning is based on a clear distinction. Visitors are permitted to witness the procession with reverence, but they are forbidden from consuming it as content. The community insists that their soul is not for sale. For young Kinnauris working in distant cities, this uncommercialized tradition provides a vital connection. Returning for the festival allows them to step back into a community defined by shared gratitude rather than individual success. Raulane is an intimate, 5,000-year-old promise to the earth. It is an annual reaffirmation that as long as the snow falls in Kinnaur, the mountains will be respected and the Saunis will be thanked.